Hi, I'm Axel. I'm back here today with Hall and Oates to keep ranking the best songs of 2023 because I've still not got anything better to do. Picking up where I left off at number 90, introducing some metalcore into the fold here with Better Lovers, Sacrificial, Participant. This is the not quite supergroup heir to Every Time I Die and Mathcore Wizards' The Dillinger Escape Plan, whose 2024 collaborative album teetered a bit more on the side of needlessly complex time signature noodling for my taste, which has just never quite been a subgenre of extreme metal that I've really been able to get into. But their 2023 EP, God Made Me an Animal Under the Better Lovers name, in particular the song Sacrificial Participant, really wowed me, really stood out to me. I mean, this is exactly the kind of mixture of brutal riffage and also brutally emotional post-hardcore clean vocals that I gravitate towards. And this one's not to miss for anyone into their heavy music and particularly their metalcore. Moving on, number 89, Paramore with You First. This is from the 2023 Paramore album. This is Why, and personal opinion, but I personally prefer my Hayley Williams and Paramore related new releases not to stray too far into the realm of, you know, respectable adult contemporary indie to be paired with the likes of The National or, I don't know, The Smile. And, you wouldn't mistake You First from the This Is Why album for anything off All We Know Is Falling or Riot. It is a beautifully mature rendition of their traditional pop-punk sound, delivered mathematically and groovily. Number 88, Young Fathers with Geronimo. I was convinced that this Edinburgh band, sort of alternative hip-hop indie sphere, were the coolest thing in all of music from about like 2017 to 2020, and I've still not seen any evidence to prove that I was wrong about any of that. I might not think about them as much anymore these days, but whenever they do come out with new music, it tends to prove that theory once again. And yeah, Geronimo, absolute highlight of their 2023 heavy album. Yup. Number 87, Drake featuring Sexyy Red and SZA, Rich Baby Daddy. And this was back in 2023 when things were still going well for Drake. And although I realized this is going to be probably one of my most controversial picks for this list, I stand by it. I mean, look, I couldn't even make it through half the album that this is off of, For All the Dogs by Drake, absolute trash. But I think Drake is undeniably one of the most significant hip-hop artists of the 2010s and 2020s. And note, I'm saying most significant, not one of the best rappers. I mean, I think his chief skill has been that for so long a time, he has really kept his finger on the pulse of where pop music trends were going. And so the real joy in Rich Baby Daddy doesn't come from any of the many cringeworthy lines that Mr. Aubrey Graham himself delivers, but rather from his Travis Scott-like recruiting of the most definitive musicians within his scene to bring a more or less underground style to the masses. And while Rich Baby Daddy isn't as good as 2018's Nice for What, which I think is possibly the most succinct argument you can make for Drake's relevance and impact as a musician, this Gordo-produced R&B cut beautifully taps into this Atlanta-based renaissance that's been going on, in the States for a little while now, but does it over the backdrop of a Cash Cobain-style sexy drill beat that is very winning, I think. Do I enjoy Drake rapping about post-nut clarity and bizarrely harmonizing Florence and the Machine's Dog Days Are Over? No, I don't. But to his credit, he has put that shit in the outro, so you can just skip it. Now, switching to a different hip-hop register ever so slightly with number 86, and that is the legendary Billy Woods on production by Kenny Segal on NYC Tapwater. This is off the excellent 2023 album Maps by this collaboration. And as usual, I mean, Billy Woods, what's there to say about him? He raps like a poet, and this track is a very grounded analysis of gentrification in New York City. Surely one of the highlights of Maps. I mean, the way he paints pictures with his lyrics is just a thing of beauty, and this is an absolute highlight of that album. At number 85, that classic old cliche of a song subject, the outburst of murderous anger directed at the kid that has bullied your child at school. The way that this painfully real scenario is incorporated into the at times otherworldly sonic soundscapes of Fever Ray alias Cardin Dreyer, or one half of The Knife, is really rather beautiful and an absolute highlight of 2023 album Radical Romantics. Right, I've ran through a lot of these kind of on speed mode, but this is the one that I want to dwell on. Number 84, Tenkay, Back On. So this is apparently what the kids are calling free car music. Now, I'll admit I'm not too well versed in that particular subgenre of contemporary hip-hop, but the main challenge here is the irregular cadence and beats, which is something you'll be used to if you've listened to your share of Plug, notably, but that you can hear in everyone from RXK Nephew to Xavier So Based to Lil B to Blade to Playboi Carti and to Mike, which is basically this deliberately offbeat and inconsistent flow where the flow itself, the lyrics themselves aren't really in conjunction or responding to the beat in the way that they traditionally would in hip-hop, but which at its base, if you pardon the pun, achieves a trance-like state of being deliberate in this randomness, in a way that was arguably pioneered by Earl Sweatshirt in some rap songs, which is funny because that album, as radical as it was, almost sounds like boom bap compared to a lot of the stuff coming out of, the scene today, including Houston's Tenkay, who, like many Gen Z rappers that have made their start since the pandemic, floats through a variety of different scenes of contemporary hip-hop, from cloud rap to drill to jerk, which is this really hectic and at first listen really disorienting and strange new subgenre of hip-hop that has, over the last year or two, been increasingly brought into the mainstream by the success of rappers like Netspend or the frequent Tenkay collaborator Xavier So Based, also by Liverpool's SD Kid and by Jim Legacy from Lewisham in London. Now, a lot of these recent niches within hip-hop, like jerk and rage and plug and free car music, they can seem really impenetrable if you're over the age of 25. But I'm artistically really, really impressed by a lot of the music coming out of these scenes in a similar way that I guess you'd be fascinated by, like a dark industrial album by Coil, for example, right? There's so many new rappers out there like Tenkay that are deliberately experimenting with these very abrasive and raw and oppressive soundscapes. It's not music designed to be stuck on in the background or to be like a casual, inoffensive listening. It's music designed to agitate, which I think is innately respectful. It's also quite simply paralleling what pioneers, what free thinkers have been doing for decades in rock music and in electronic music. I think all of these subgenres, from cloud rap to jerk to rage, they're an enormous testament to the development of hip-hop as honestly one of the most democratic art forms in not just music, but I think it's fair to say all of art history and all of humanity. This participatory aspect, anyone can kind of go viral online, but to the point that it can now contain within it so many diverging paths as literature and painting did in the early 20th century, of having that kind of richness to it, which I think many people that aren't within that sort of online scene of hip-hop today are quite unaware of. I think we can absolutely categorize a lot of the major trends and rubrics in contemporary hip-hop in ways that parallel the more famous art scenes of the early 20th century. Like, you've got your Impressionists, you've got Blade and like Mike and Earl. When I say Blade, maybe kind of Blade in that era around the pandemic, albums like The Fool and 333. But then you've got the expressionist side, which is Blade on something like Cold Visions, but it's also Injury Reserve. And then you've got Dada avant-gardists like Black Cray or Playboi Carti. Now, if all of that sounds too highfalutin, what is really crucial, I think, what is really interesting as well, is that these, at first sight unappealing genres have been embraced as street genres to this extent. And yes, I mean, there's also a fair amount of posturing suburban white guys in jerk and in plug. But then there's guys like Tenkay, who so effortlessly combines the formal experiment of jerk with the braggadocio sound of gangster rap. And he manages to make a song like this be at once so intimidating, off-kilter, and catchy. Now, number 83, Jessie Ware, Hello Love. So perhaps this following is a bit of a dangerous opinion to utter publicly on the internet, but I'm not always convinced by Jessie Ware's second career act after, having been this like stellar London alt-pop singer in the same generation as someone like James Blake, into a reinvented form of like a Kylie-esque pop diva that, like a Dua Lipa for people that listen only to smooth radio, runs through the defining eras in pop music from the 70s all the way to the 90s. Now, if that sounds unduly harsh, that's mostly an expression of me not fully believing in her as a pop star, not to deny the quality of most of her songs, because the quality of those songs is at times absolutely through the roof. Hello Love, in particular, is a smooth soul belter in the crooner tradition of the 70s, really the best legends of that time period. It's so elegant, so immaculately recorded and produced, so dulcet. I mean, it's a melody as smooth as honey, if I can use that trite metaphor. It's it's brilliant. Although sometimes I do wonder if there's maybe some kind of Pavlovian reflex responding within me to that song, because, you know, that chorus, it's just, it's really inviting, because you've got that, hello love, I got both hands up, and you got me questioning, where is the love? It's a perfect transition right there. But I'm sorry I did that. But it's a good song, is what I'm trying to say. It's a really good song. Re-upping on caffeine for the home stretch here, but we're at number 82 now with Mandy, Indiana, Drag Crashed. This kind of forms a bridge between Manchester's post-punk tradition and Manchester's club culture, a bridge that I'm kind of surprised hasn't been crossed more often. It's a French language cut by Mandy, Indiana, which brilliantly redeploys the sexist comments that women hear every day about their appearance and about how they should smile more, and delivers it with a stylish electro-industrial anger that stylistically really brings them closer in conversation with New York City's model actress, rather than, you know, other stuff that's coming out of the UK scene right now. And finishing up today's segment of 10 tracks for this list, at number 81, another representative of the thriving British rock music scene right now, Italia with Clark. This band, named after the iconic Soho Cafe, who I think are perhaps the most effortlessly cool of this new post-windmill renaissance in British indie music, who maintain the slacker spirit, if not the exact same musical style as Pavement in the 90s, with this brilliant song of their 90 Denim. And that was it for this week. If you want to keep finding out what songs I really hyped in 2023, I'll keep doing these lists until the CIA gets me. So keep on tuning in if you enjoyed this. My name's Axel, and I'm going to finish my coffee now.